you have the newest carpet mill in the world, I would suspect. Isn't that true?
The only two greenfield facilities, by greenfield I meant built literally from a field and not taking a building and trying to modify it. The only two that we're aware of in the last 30 years, we were fortunate to have those two facilities. And that does allow you to kind of start with a clean canvas, so to speak, where you're not boxed in with either sizes or limitations. And the fact that we've been able to take a step out of our production process by having to dye the carpet has made us a simpler operation and has given us some real advantages, we believe.
Well, in a way, it turns back the clock. Being the lowest cost producer was you couldn't take a step down the street in Dalton without hearing that, and that's obviously what you are.
Well, a lot of people want to debate, and we don't know other people's costs. We just know that we know our facilities allow us to manufacture product in a way that minimizes, and we've done this with studies with Georgia Tech. We know we use significantly less energy, probably about 30% less energy through our processes. We use about 85% less water, and we generate 42% less greenhouse gases. Now, on a long-term basis, we see energy going up. So those advantages for us are going to be, they're here now, and they're sustainable for the future. So it's really more our production model that gives us a lot of the advantages we feel like. Not having to ship carpet from one facility to another is an end process. It's all, our facilities, pellets go in one door and carpet comes out the other. And those are the only two that we're aware of in the industry that can do that.
So as time goes by, your advantage is going to grow and grow.
You could make a theory to that. I'm not gonna say for sure because you never know what energy is going to do. With natural gas, energy may stay flat or actually come down. Who knows?
I see. But in essence of strict machinery, I would suspect, and you would know better than I, just around Dalton here, I suspect there's some mature machinery around here.
Well, the machinery we have does allow, the newer machinery does, once again, go into energy. Two of our processes probably save 25% energy versus older machinery, and the throughputs and capacities of the machines are more productive. So there is, as machinery keeps improving, the newer machines are more productive, and that certainly helps you enjoy some of the economies and the efficiencies we have. So I think and there is some of that older equipment in town is being replaced, and I think that some of that may continue over the next several years as companies look to try to figure out ways to cut costs. Some of that's going to come with reinvestment in new machinery as well.
I think there's a whole lot of that in mothballs around here too.
There is a lot of capacity, probably that's not polyester capable, but there's a lot of fiber capacity, polypropylene and maybe some nylon that's not being fully utilized now. But unless you can convert that to polyester, which is a difficult thing to do, you really can't use it today.
So you have the ability to do more with the newer equipment?
We feel like we can make a really streamlined and offer a product that gives great hand and softness, even soft products, which the Ultra Soft is probably the fastest and hottest trend going in retail. So we think that our machinery allows us the most flexibility in product that you can have.
Now, obviously, demand for the solution-dyed polyester that you're producing is greater than the capacity you have to fulfill that.
Well, obviously there are other people that are servicing solution-dyed polyester, and there's people that are making piece-dyed polyester. So certainly the demand for polyester is greater than we have. We are just having to keep expanding because the demand for specifically our product, which we feel like is a very different product than some of the other ones being offered, continues to grow. And if we don't continue to expand, we know we're not going to have satisfied customers, and that's something that we get drilled into us every day is we need to make sure we're satisfying our customers, and so we're just going to keep expanding. And I think a lot of people saw some relief in that announcement that we are not planning to just stop. This is there is going to be continued expansion and continued ability to supply product to people that want to buy it.
You have people knocking on your door that you're unable to fulfill the business you would get from them?
I wouldn't say that we're turning people away, but we have certain customers that We have another expansion that's coming on in 60 days. We've told customers that, there's some that we should say, let's plan our phase-in of your launch with us to more coincide with our capacity increase. So it's generally more of a delay than a no. And yes, because of all our publicity, we're kind of like the restaurant in town that everybody wants to try to get in. We've been blessed with a lot of people that have called us and want to buy from us, which is, once again, very different than the traditional experience in trying to sell carpet.
I would say, well, to have that kind of excitement is pretty unusual.
It is.
And, of course, the story. I mean, I don't think a famous author could come up with a story like this.
Well, it's
Mr. Shaw.
I can tell you that, a lot of people have asked about Mr. Shaw and how he sees why he doing is what he, and I can't speak for Mr. Shaw, but I can tell you this, that he does, because I've heard him say this repeatedly, that he thinks polyester fiber, solution-dyed polyester fiber specifically, is one of the greatest sea changes that's going to come in the carpet industry. And he thinks it's got long-term effects, and so far what he has projected or predicted to happen is certainly happening.
Well, I would say with the expansion and all the plants that you have, I think this is the story of having him. I don't think the word retire was ever used, and if it was, it wasn't used correctly. But to him, step down and then come in and crank this up was, I think, surprised a whole lot of people and just speaks very highly of him.
Well, and if you go back, Mr. Shaw is from Dalton, grew up in Dalton. In fact, his mother taught school in the Dalton school system. So they're a long-time Daltonian family, and to be able to come back and create jobs in a town that really has been hit really hard over the last 5 years has been something that I know is personally rewarding to him.
And to find the niche to be able to do that, everybody would like to do that, but to find the niche to do that and put all this necessary together to pull that off, and the expertise, pretty amazing.
Well, it does take, if you look at the foundation of the company going back to 2009, that was really when the banks weren't lending a lot of money. And obviously there was capital invested in the business on the belief that there was an opportunity here. And so that belief came with some risk, but it certainly paid off. And it was a belief that not a lot of other people probably would have looked at in 2009 and said, hey, carpet is a great thing to invest in. So it was kind of swimming countercurrent, and it's kind of the road less traveled. And when you do that, you find a lot of times you're not really very crowded.
Well, like I said in the beginning, if somebody would have told me there's going to be a new mill come up here and be successful, I'd have thought you were crazy.
If I wasn't here in 2009, I would have probably told you the same thing.
Now, the new operations, which you've been the star in this part of the world here over the last month or so. Talk about the new facilities and what they're going to look like and where they're going to be.
Well, our first facility, and there's been a lot of misinformation, and the media gets excited, and no offense to you and the media, Dave, but occasionally we get things wrong, and there's been some misinformation, but we are looking at 2 facilities over the 5-year period. The first of those facilities is going to be here in Whitfield County, a little south of town, near the industrial park, but not in it. There's a lot of misinformation there. We're not in that industrial park, but it's relatively near there, south of town, and that'll be a facility similar to our current Dalton facility, although larger, but it'll be an extrusion and all the way into carpet facility. And then there's another facility planned out, and that would be at a later date in Murray County that will be another type facility to make products for us as well.
How come you didn't do this all in one area?
It's interesting you say that. The land mass that is required to do these facilities is so large, and we actually were talking to a lot of the counties, and all the counties around here obviously were in need of opportunities, and we started looking at it and working with the state development folks. They said that there was no requirement that any of their programs had to be one facility. We asked, and they said it could be 2 facilities as long as they're somewhat concurrent in the time frame. So we said, why can't we create a win-win for 2 counties? And in this case, we weren't able to do anything for for our first county, Gordon, but that we still like those guys, and there may be an opportunity in the future. You never know. But we see it as a win-win for two communities instead of just one.
So the idea was you had talked about jobs and creating jobs in the front end, and certainly, as you mentioned, Mr. Shaw being a Dalton native, North Georgia is near and dear to him. So building in North Georgia was of prime importance.
Building in North Georgia was of prime importance, absolutely. But like I said, we consider all of the communities to be home to us. We're not just a Dalton mill. In fact, Gordon and Calhoun, the Gordon County and Whitfield and Murray are all critical to our success, and we're pleased that we're going to be continuing to expand in those counties.
But ideally, if you had this all under one roof, if that was even possible, someplace in North Georgia, that would seem to be an attractive option.
It could be, but I'm not sure there's enough land in the county that's, we're blessed with a rolling hillside here, which means there's not that much flat land. In certain parts of the state, you could go find several hundred acres, or actually bigger than that, call it 400 acres. But here, a 400-acre site without a lot of hills is probably difficult to find.